Alrighty, welcome back to the Doom 3 commentary with me, Skully the Metalhead. Today we'll be, well, finishing off Sergeant Kelly, but before that can happen, here's this.
I am waiting for you, waiting to kill you.
You can try, Kelly, but you won't succeed, because I am Doom Guy, and I will destroy you. That is if I don't get killed by any reverence. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna... Well, at least in this recording session anyway, I'm planning to get Doom 3 out of the way in this session. We're finishing it tonight, goddammit! We will end you, Doom 3, I swear it! But yes, silliness aside, hoping to get this all out of the way, just, you know, so I can finally move on to other things. Again, I did mention beforehand that I'm not going to be doing the Assassin's Creed commentary, since, again, as I reiterate, I do think I got everything that I needed to say out of the way in the review, which is over 50 minutes long, and I think any commentary that I'll do will probably end up being a rambly mess, as Doom 3 has been over the course of it. And I don't entirely blame Doom 3 for this, because throughout the majority of the game, while it is something very intriguing to play and discuss, commentary-wise, it's something where you really have to pick up the slack, unless of course you have the occasional cutscene or the occasional PDA log. And in the end, it's a bit of an unfriendly commentary game. But when you're playing the game for yourself, the atmosphere and the ambience do wonders to invest you in the series, which, again, if my commentary isn't selling you on this, then I'd at least recommend that you give the game a shot if you like the visuals and atmosphere, because again, despite the fact that the commentary is there to take away from that in some respect, in many places the atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. But I've reiterated this time and time again, so I don't think I really need to harp on it any further. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it must be my editor lagging up. Unless, of course, it was a game itself, I'm not really too sure. I'll have a look at that in editing. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now, one thing that you will notice right off the bat is that there is going to be an influx of archviles in this area, which is something that is rather dangerous, because again, I didn't really allude to this earlier since we didn't encounter them that often, but their little flame attack, which they use to summon flames, or at least when they're not summoning a plethora of enemies, yeah, that really does a shitload of damage. I mean, even on some of the lower difficulties, the archviles are... They can honestly be the very difference between life and death. And that's something that I think Doom 3... and again, I was just thinking about this a little bit earlier before I started this commentary, but I was thinking... I think this also kind of connects to the idea I had earlier about, you know, an onslaught of enemies adding to the fear. In the sense that, what I was thinking is that for people who, you know, decry Doom 3 as a horror game and prefer it to be a in the thick of it, you know, intense action experience, I was honestly thinking that, you know, if, you know, around this point or a certain part through the game, when you finally discover what you're up against, you know, the game starts to pick up, the music starts to turn from, you know, atmospheric, oh, you know, to a little bit more of a heavy metal soundtrack, and Doom Guy begins to take control of the situation. I mean, I don't know, I think it'd be something that'd give, you know, the action fans, you know, something a little bit more to get pumped up and go, fuck yeah, we're gonna kick ass and save the world. Ooh. And as we can see here, hell is, slowly corrupting even the cleanest of places like this. Also, this area gives me some serious Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast vibes. Particularly in the K-Gym Outpost level, where you're Kyle Katarn trying to move through the facility. Well, that's a possible game I could probably do at some point. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. Man, that game was fucking excellent. Fun fact, actually, that was the first video game I had ever played. So it kind of says a lot about me, but... dude, that game was fucking fantastic. Then again, I suppose Disney copyrights are also something to be a little bit more wary of, since I probably won't be able to show off the Star Wars theme. But, yeah, it's something possible I can do. I haven't decided upon the game that I'm doing next. But again, if I do get it decided at the end of the Doom 3 commentary, then I'll probably inform you. But for the time being, it's still out in the open. Oh, Jesus. Oh, it's just an imp. Yeah, the imps kind of... Again, I don't think the imps ever really lose their luster, even when put up against more powerful enemies like the commandos here. Because, I mean, I think the imps, by the sounds they make, can still make for some pretty ambient sound design, because, as Doom 3 has demonstrated so many times, again, like, I mean, its ambient sound design is one of its core strengths. Although, on that note, and something I don't think I ever brought up until part 4 of this commentary. I wonder how different the game would have been, you know, had id Software managed to keep Trent Reznor on the project, because for those of you who have seen the 2002 E3 Doom 3 footage, a lot of the sound design was so fucking visceral, man. Like, I mean, what the hell's going on with the sound effects? Yeah, that's kind of fitting. But, yeah, for any of you who've heard the original sound effects by Trent Reznor, a lot of them were so visceral. Like, I mean, even the fucking pistol packs so much heavier punch than the one that you see in the final game, and that's just... I don't know, like, I mean, I think had Trent Reznor stayed on, I think this game's sound design would have been equal to that of Akira Yamaoka, you know, from the Silent Hill series. But then again, I suppose that's just me waxing about what could have been. What the hell is going on? The sound design appears to be a little bit delayed. I'm not sure if it's my editor playing up, or... No, it can't be, because the reloading sound effects were just fine. Okay, that's quite strange. Now we see the return of the Kako demons for the first time in a little bit. Anyway, basically what we're trying to do here is we're making our way to the server room, and we're going to square off against Sergeant Kelly. Again, I was saving a lot of my Sergeant Kelly tangents for this one, but considering the, well, let's be honest here, rather drab commentary, or at least the lack thereof in the last part, I figured I'd expunge all my tangents there, but at the same time though, there is a little bit about Sergeant Kelly, and especially one line in particular that pretty much sealed the deal that I knew that Sergeant Kelly was against us all along. And there was a phone ringing in the fucking background, yet thank you very much, telemarketer, who's probably going to call up going, "Hello, my name is Katrina, I have very sexy lady." And you know, like, I don't mean to be fucking racist or anything, but telemarketers are bad people. They're evil. In fact, you know what, that's probably it. Dr. Petruga had sent demon telemarketers to call up during this commentary and slightly annoy me, thus giving them more hatred, and thus fueling the demon's power against Doomguy. The ultimate connection. All this and more on Skully the Metalhead in The Deepest Lore. Although, if there is one thing I can say about this part, how it's turning out so far, then the commentary's actually gotten a little bit better. I don't know. Like, I don't seem to be stumbling as easily, and I seem to be a little bit more confident in my voice. Oh well, shows signs of improvement, I guess. I mean, I've recently been rewatching my own Matrix Path of Neo commentary, and yeah, for the early parts, I mean, like, I'd say before Neo became the One, like, I mean, there's a noticeable difference between how quiet and meek I used to sound. And hell, doubly so for me, like, my first video. You know, when I did the whole Sonic Lost World isn't like Sonic Extreme, God, it was a fucking different time in 2013. Okay, that's seriously starting to bug me. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm gonna have to... Again, I'm tempted to stop recording here and see if I can check up on it. Yeah, we're not gonna stay here, but basically what that video disc is gonna tell us, it's basically about the BFG 9000 and a few interesting stuff about it. I won't dwell too long on it, but the BFG is just a powerful gun that blows shit up. That's all you really need to know. Although it is, and again, this also ties back into something I've said time and time again, but if there's one thing that Doom 3 does have to its strength, it's the attention to detail that id Software put into, you know, giving everything a defined backstory, and just, you know, something that makes the world feel fleshed out and to some degree real. Okay, this is bothering me to such an extreme degree. I'm gonna stop recording, start recording again, to see if I can determine the issue of the sound design, because this is just fucking weird. Okay, and we're back, right with the fucking... Okay, what the hell's going on? I swear it's probably the fucking... like, there's a... Again, I can't really explain this because you're probably seeing the commentary all synced up and everything, but there's like a delay between, like, you know, when I'm starting to commentate and when the stuff happens. I'm not sure if this happened in previous parts, but this is the first I'm noticing of it, and that's just absolutely strange to me. Now, anyway, there's a cutscene coming up involving our Sergeant Kelly boss fight, and I'm not going to say anything immediately, but there is one line that I want to let you hear first of all, and from that point on, I will just let you interpret that how you will. Okay, so, here we go.
Welcome to the
that line right there is exactly why I think Sergeant Kelly was, you know, against us all along. But anyway, one soul cube and a few blaster shots later. Yeah, really goes to show the power of the soul cube. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about Sergeant Kelly's boss fight in the next part, because there really isn't enough time for this, but yeah, I really do like the design of the Sabaoth, which is a creature that Sergeant Kelly became. I think the design looks really fucking cool. But in a general sense, and even though the boss fight was relatively quick, there is quite a bit to this. I don't know. I don't really have much to say after this. That was Sergeant Kelly, his life has now ended, and I'm going to be taking a little short break. I'll take a drink of the Pepsi and edit up this little snippet, and in the meantime, I will commentate over the next part in a little bit. So, Optimus Prime transition, activate! And we have returned. I'm Skully the Metalhead, and welcome back to the Doom 3 commentary. Funny, that sounds like there should have been an ad break in between there. Not that I would intentionally do that, because... Oh... Kaiden? That's not a very friendly thing. Also, there is a Hell Knight, which is of some concern. But in any case, I am back after taking a drink of the Pepsi and cutting things up, and honestly though, in retrospect, I probably should have made this entire part of, you know, Site 3 its own part, because there is a lot of rather heavy story stuff that's about to go down. But I think the last part went so well commentary-wise that I think we'd be okay in this one. Plus, it also allows me to expunge a lot of my tangents that I've been saving for so long, mostly because of the fact that there was a lot of story stuff that I wanted to keep you guys in the dark about, just so that you could get the full experience of what's going on here. And again, I've mentioned this so many times in the past, but again, when I said that Doom 3 had some interesting story concepts, this is the part where it all comes together, and this the kind of thing that makes me so frustrated that Doom 3 never got a direct sequel following that particular continuity. I mean, I have recently been going across, you know, forums and Reddit and all that kind of stuff, how a lot of people try and tie Doom 1, 2, and 3 together into a similar thing where they try to say, like, oh, Doom Guy is different incarnations, or the Doom Slayer is the guy from Doom 1, 2, and 64, even though I don't really count that as canon because Doom 64 sucks. And they try and tie it into a, like, kind of a Zelda thing where they say it's like a bunch of different incarnations of Doom Guy, or one successive incarnation who's imprinted himself into multiple timelines, but I think that really is kind of forcing it and making the Doom storyline a little bit too convoluted than it really needs to be, because I don't think Doom 3 has really done any kind of time travel sort of stuff. I mean, I suppose you could argue that Hell could alter the flow of time, as, you know, Simon Garlick, one of the people who was trapped in Hell, had alluded to earlier with the psychological torment. But I do think it's kind of reaching in that sense, because, I mean, while yes, I would like a little bit more of a connection to Doom 1 and 2 and this game, and I suppose by extension Doom 4, although I still have yet to play it, I still think there are a lot of elements that I think could still tie it in, because, and again, I haven't played Doom 4/Doom the reboot yet, but there are quite a few references to Doom 3 in there. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can find the Soul Cube in one of the head honcho's offices. I think his name is Samuel Hayden. But in another weird little thing, and one thing that I am kind of hoping to be true, is that supposedly the facility you run through on Doom 4 is still on Mars, but it's a different facility from the one in Doom 3, and the one that was given, you know, more funding, a little bit more advanced technology, as to explain the differences in technology, while Malcolm Betruga's bunch here is simply given, you know, the quote-unquote budgeted end of the Mars research, which, again, you know, if they made that little bit of a connection, I would very much appreciate, because, you know, it doesn't, you know, directly go, oh yeah, Doom 3 never happened, it's forgotten about. And I still think it could still tie into everything, because, you know, Doom 3, while it does have different looking demons, as the Resurrection of Evil would later point out, I mean, there's, you know, you do have the classic variants of demons still there. Like, I mean, okay, they don't show off that many, and the most they really do show is the original version of the Lost Souls, but, you know, it's still there, and it shows multiple incarnations of the demons that do, excuse me, very well exist. I don't know, maybe this is just me putting too much thought into Doom's storyline, but I think there is a far better way of handling it than just going for the whole fan theory of Doom Guy is like the multiple incarnations spawning across millennia, because it's just something that to me feels like a bit of a cheap cop-out, plus a way, you know, of people going, oh yeah, we don't have to pay attention to story consistency or continuity or whatever. And to be perfectly honest, it's something that does bug me when a lot of people tend to slay video game stories as, oh, video games don't need a story, they just need to fucking play, which, again, make that argument all you want and try and focus on the gameplay as much as you can, but to me, a good story does wonders to put you into the mood to play a video game, and it's part of the reason why I don't see the Devil May Cry series as being anything spectacular. But then again, that's probably a controversial opinion that I will share, well, whenever I get around to, you know, tackling the classic series. But in any case, we've got a PDA coming up, so I shall remain silent, drink Pepsi, and listen to this.
This is the scientific journal of Dr. Richard Davis, dated August 8, 2145. We've just broken through to a new chamber, and I think I found the map alluded to on one of the tablets. The artifact is constructed into the ceiling, and it is a magnificent find. It appears to be made of some crystalline material, and even after all this time, it is still emitting a soft glow. The markings on it were strangely familiar when I first observed it, and after digitizing it and analyzing it, I'm certain this is a map of our solar system. It seems to show a connection between Mars and Earth. My current working theory is that the last survivors used the teleportation technology to escape to Earth. The ramifications of this are overwhelming. This may end up proving that we are actually descendants of this race, and what we are exploring is our own history. I'm going to report my findings as soon as we finish the excavation, and they should show up in corporate within a few days. These are truly exciting times. Log out.
And now I can finally start talking about it. Again, I've already made brief little mentions and hints to it in the past, but yes, the humans being the humans on Earth, I should say, being descended from Mars, and the Martian civilization factoring heavily into what we see here. And again, I had this tangent saved from many times in the past, and I can barely even collect my thoughts now that we're finally fucking there. But anyway, I'll try and just focus my thoughts on it a bit. Again, that's the kind of stuff that I find really interesting, because I mean, not only does it give a strong tie between you know, Mars and Earth, civilization-wise, and, you know, how the species evolved. But I think it also shows why the demons have interest in coming to Earth, like, because, I mean... God, why can't I focus my fucking thoughts? Okay. I suppose it at the very least shows why Betruger, or, you know, the demon who was possessing him, is so intent on destroying the last of the Martian civilization, which does make you wonder... why exactly, you know, the demons took interest in the Martian civilization in the first place. From what I can gather, or at the very least my little theory here, is that the Martian civilization were also doing their own teleportation experiments, and, you know, they came across the demons and opened up a portal to hell. Excuse me. But what is this? Stone tablets. Yeah, there is a very, very clever reference on a lot of these. Again, you probably won't be able to see it until a little bit later when you get a clearer shot at it. And I will have a lot to say, but we've got another cutscene coming up, so I'll have to keep my thoughts brief for now. But yeah, this is the main crux of my point when I think that Doom 1 and 2 are in canon with Doom 3. As you can see, well, as you could briefly see right there, there's a little reference to Doom 1, but I shall save my tangent for a little bit later. Watch this.
Are you sure you killed them? What? You have the soul cube, just like in the carvings I've been researching. If I'm correct, that cube is our only chance to stop this. No time to explain now. You need to get to the caverns quickly. Take my PDA. It's right there on the desk. It's got security codes for the area, and my research logs on it. It'll help. I can't go with you. I need to finish my work here. Good luck. I'm locking the door after you leave. Good luck.
Yeah, as you can probably tell by the little stone carvings of Doom Guy holding the Soul Cube against an army of demons, the one that resembled the cover of Doom 1, I think this is probably my strongest point for Doom 3 connecting to the previous games. And again, I think this might be why a lot of people tend to buy into the whole reincarnation that Doom Guy is kind of like something that's scattered throughout time, throughout the Martian civilization, in like some kind of weird power to smite down the demons. But that's something I'll get into a little bit later after this, PDA audio log. So here you go.
This is the audio log of Dr. Pierce Rogers. I don't know if I'll make it off the base alive. I don't have much time, so I'll sum up what I have quickly and upload the rest of my finding into the data bank. I hope someone finds them. It was all on the stone tablets, all the answers. I can't believe we never saw it. It was as plain as day. If we had only slowed down the development of the teleporters and tried to really learn what the tablets were trying to tell us, trying to warn us. The ancient people battled the same demons that are attacking us now. The demons came through the teleporters that they built, just like now. They created the Soul Cube and used it to stop the demons, to drive them back to hell. I don't know how. That must be the answer. That is why that artifact was left behind, left for someone to find if something like that ever happens again. I can't reach Delta from here. I won't make it. And I truly hope and pray someone finds the Soul Cube. And it helps. Lord, help us. End of log. This is the audio log of Dr. P. This is Dr. Pierce Rogers, lead archaeologist currently stationed on Mars. As the preliminary reports have suggested, we have made some amazing discoveries here on Mars. Life on Mars has long been theorized, but we never imagined anything like this. The initial chamber was discovered in 2115. It leads into what is now known as Site 1. Site 1 is the largest of the sites, and we are still actively working there. It is made up of a series of chambers and connecting tunnels, all of which are covered in glyphs and symbols. Using the UAC pattern processor, we have finally been able to understand some of the glyphs, and from them, here is what we have learned. The ancient people looked like us, at least to the extent that they were bipedal and were similar in shape and size. Their level of technology was astounding. For instance, the glyphs at each site were carved into the rock by some sort of machine, and each one is precisely cut from the stone. It far exceeds the precision of anything we can do. They had a social structure that seemed very aristocratic, with a lot of emphasis on social stature and structure. Site 2 is a much smaller set of chambers, mostly containing burial sites, temples, and various amounts of individual artifacts. This site has been photographed and cleared out, and all material is back on Earth for study and review. Site 3 produced our prize artifact, what we call the Soul Cube. If you have read or seen the other material, you probably know that this once grand civilization was attacked by some unknown force. And if we can believe what is written in stone, they sacrificed most of their society to drive the invaders back. There are additional reports filed on the Soul Cube with Central Administration. We also recovered several other device-type artifacts. They are not as ornate as the Soul Cube, but each appears unique. We are still learning how to interpret all of the glyphs, and hopefully, once we have that completed, the science teams can provide more detailed information on their technology. These are truly unique and special times for archaeologists.
Okay, so much to talk about, and this is the kind of stuff that I love in video games, when they go out of their way to construct such a living, breathing world. Oh man. Doom 3, you tease me. Oh, you tease me. Okay, since I have a long stretch of time before anything significant happens... excuse me. Fuck. indigestion. Oh my god, I'm just speechless. I mean, okay, first of all, the Soul Cube. It has the souls of all the people from the Martian civilization, or at the very least a good chunk of them that didn't escape to Earth. That is fucking morbid, man. I mean, not only that, but the fact that the Soul Cube communicates directly with us, I think is a little bit more macabre than a lot of them let on, because not only have we heard one of the female of the species, or at least so we can presume, speaking to us about its deceased children, its culture, its the fact that it's trying to fight against hell, while in turn trying to psychologically acclimatize itself to Doomguy specifically. This is a lot of stuff that I find really interesting, and part of the reason why Doom 3's attention to detail sticks with me, you know, quite a bit. I mean, I do like Doom as an action game, but it's very hard for me to let go a lot of the stuff that Doom 3 had given us in terms of, you know, its story and how well constructed it is as far as telling it through, you know, technical aspects and additional details, rather than giving you direct, you know, cutscenes of exposition like, you know, something that Hideo Kojima would have done. It's the kind of storytelling that I think really invites the player to discover more about the UAC base, the Martian civilization, and hell itself, rather than just, you know, giving you a massive info dump of cutscenes. I mean, although speculation can probably lead to a lot of people misinterpreting the source material, I think there is a much greater sense of reward in the sense that, you know, you get as much as you put into the story. And while that kind of method of storytelling is a little bit avant-garde, I think it is something that can pay off if you know, handle your story well. Of course, there is, you know, a lot of arguments that can be made against, you know, avant-garde storytelling. It's like, oh my god, look at the light bulb. You see, look at the art that it is trying to tell. You see, the light represents the hope, but then the darkness is the evil. You know, all that kind of bullshit, which, granted, I can see why some people would prefer a more direct method of storytelling in that sense, but I think, and again, this was a point I was actually thinking about a little bit earlier, is that would Doom 3's story have been better if it was told indirectly? Because, I mean, Doom 3's story is already pretty cutscene light, so to speak. I mean, there are cutscenes involving, you know, Counselor Swan and Sergeant Kelly and all that, but they aren't really focused on that too much, and some would argue that they tend to distract from the ambience, which is why I, you know, beg the question. Would Doom 3 have been a better game if its story was, for the most part, had the introductory cutscene, you walk through the UAC base and see everything going wrong, then main cutscene where, you know, hell is unleashed and everybody is getting scared and killed and everything, and then from that point on, everything is just told from the perspective of Doomguy. We see what he sees, we experience what he experiences, and all of our thoughts is basically up to our own interpretation. I don't know, a lot of people would say that's probably out of Doom's territory since it's supposed to be fuck yeah, heavy metal guns and everything, but I do think it would have been an interesting method to take for Doom 3, I mean, at the very least for the style in which it was going for. Which, as I actually recently learned, seemed to have been a bit of a dividing factor for id Software, because I believe it was Adrian... Actually, I think it was... can't remember who it was, I think it might have been Tim Willis or Adrian Carmack who were at heads. No, I don't think it was Tim Willis, but I'm probably misremembering the names, but either way, two of the head honchos at id Software were at a bit of a divide between this game, with some thinking that Doom 3 should play a little bit more like the action-oriented classics, and I think it was Carmack thinking that, you know, it should have played a little bit more horror, which, again, it was present in the original Doom games, but I think it was just more so the gameplay itself that threw people off to see it as more of an action game. I mean, personally, I don't mind either styles, but again, I think the way in which Doom 3 handles its horror is kind of telling about what the series' intention was, or at the very least its spirit, comparatively to how the public perceived it. And the fucking phone is ringing again, for fuck's sake. Oh man. But still, going back to the Martian civilization, as we'll see a lot later on, I am still very interested in learning more about them, because, again, from what we already learned from the PDA, we know they're bipedal, we know they're human-like in structure. their social structure was also pretty interesting in the sense that they were described as being aristocrats, which I guess isn't entirely meant to mean like, yes, look at this delicious little bit of wine, and my monocle, yes, it is I, Marty O'Donnell. But again, I think it does give a bit of an interesting spin on human origins as far as our social structures are concerned, which again, sounds like such a needless attention to detail, but it's something that I think is kind of essential to being there since, again, since the Martians are technically us. You know, it just shows the origin of our species, and again, we don't really know that much about the Martians outside of their technology. And again, given what we can see here, and again, I'm not sure whether or not this is by virtue of the Soul Cube's influence, or the fact that the Martians were probably enhanced in far superior ways to us on like a physiological and possibly even on a psychokinetic basis, because, like again, whether or not this could be counted down to Hell's influence, but we have seen that whenever one of the female species of the Martian civilization had spoken to us, there was usually some psychic interference. Like, I mean, we heard infant cries, we heard, you know, we saw objects flying across the room via telekinesis, which to me gives me the impression that these ancient Martians are possibly psychokinetic and have powers that the demons possibly feared by virtue of them being of a similar power level, which, again, would give reason for the demons to want to exterminate them. God, I have no words, but I can't really say any more that I haven't already said, but Doom 3 needs spin-off in horror game with all, like, storylines and stuff. But, anyway, I think I've possibly exhausted all my tangents for this part. Anyways, for where we're heading right now, we are heading off to the caverns, the final area of the game, where we will be physically descending into Hell. But we'll also be seeing a little bit of the caverns and a few facilities from the ancient Martian civilization as well, which will be quite interesting to take a look at to see how their technology is. But in any case, I'm Skully, keep it new metal, and next time on the Doom 3 commentary, we will be entering the caverns and we'll be finishing off the game. Catch you on the flip side. Oh yeah.